Hello and welcome to tonight's Get in Tune. I'm Michael Gracia. I got a really cool show planned for tonight. I got someone who I actually have a lot in common with. We both do kid-friendly work. We both work with kids at comic book conventions. We're both artists outside and do so many different types of art. So let me bring her on. She's a fantastic artist. I've checked out her work in the past, but I haven't had a chance to talk with her. So let's bring on Emily Drouin.
Hey guys.
Hello, how you doing? Ooh, very nice.
Hey guys, too.
So thank you for coming on. Before we get started, I just want to let everybody know. Oops, right here. Sorry, we got two ways to connect with Emily. You got Emily@play.com and kidsconne.com, and we're going to talk about both of those sites in a little bit. But before we get to that, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, the kind of work that you do, and then we'll get into your background.
Yeah, so I'm a comic book artist and children's book illustrator, and I also run Comic Cons for kids, KidsCon New England, and I host events in New Hampshire and in Maine. So
Okay.
like a spring event in New Hampshire, fall in Maine. And I also been since like 2014, been doing workshops at Comic Cons and running kids zones and teaching kids also in schools about how to create comics. And I just love teaching kids art. And I also have been doing just about a little getting back into animation too this year and last year and doing a
That's
hodgepodge of fun things.
that's fantastic. So tell us a little bit about your background in comics or anime. What was it, a childhood thing? Did you get to it later in life? How was it for you?
Yeah, so growing up, I loved going to the library and just getting all sorts of books. I loved to read, and I was really into comics too, like the Sunday comics I used to get in the paper.
Yeah.
And that inspired me as a kid to start illustrating and writing my own. And
Hmm.
when I was in elementary school, I was doing all that, and the teachers really encouraged me, and they saw how I was like, oh, you got a talent here doing this stuff, and so they really, and my parents too, encouraged me to pursue my art. And so without them, I wouldn't have, been where I am today. So I'm
That's
really
great.
grateful for that. Um, and so I just like ever since I was a kid, I wanted to create books, and I
Hmm.
loved illustrating books. And so I also took that, and I love to inspire kids nowadays too, the next generation, encouraging them to read and to create comics. So
Yeah,
very rewarding.
that's great. That's great. And you said, now you mentioned you were inspired by Sunday comics and strips. For those who watch the show regularly know I am a huge like comic strip. I'm more strip over book. And my collection, which used to be part of my background, is now all over the place on shelves in my studio here. But what were some of the strips that you really got into that inspired you?
Yeah, I love Calvin and Hobbes and Garfield. I just love like their kind of antics,
Mm,
um, and also Peanuts too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just named top three right there. I mean, they're perfect.
And then I got really into Disney Adventures magazine, which was with comics.
Yeah.
And so I had a subscription to that, and I was just obsessed with the '90s style, of cartoons, and I think that really influenced my art style
Hmm.
too.
Yeah, I can see. I was a big Disney guy. I mean, I still am. But the cartoons, the Disney Afternoon was a big part of my childhood, and I used to remember getting those Disney Adventure magazines in the grocery stores, or I think when I was with my mom or something. It was
And
really
we
cool
had a
stuff.
couple that were like 3D, and then you got the 3D glasses.
Mhm.
That's really cool.
Yeah. I just want to say hi to Mike Wilkie in the comics, who's a regular viewer and cartoonist. If you're not familiar with him, very funny stuff. So thanks for joining us, Mike. Uh, okay, so you were into. Did you read any other kind of comics as a kid, like comic books or?
Yeah, I basically just had like the collections of the comic strips as a kid. I
Mhm,
didn't really start getting into graphic novels until being an adult.
mhm.
So, and I love like Zeta the Space Girl and some of those. I just like love kids comic stuff.
Yeah.
It's good to see what people are doing
Mhm.
nowadays.
Yeah, and was so okay, before I ask this question, so you were into all this stuff as a kid, you were making books. Do you remember the first like comic you made, whether it was before you started publishing? Did you make comics then? And
Yeah, I have to say probably the I don't quite remember exactly the comics I did, but I do remember I started doing children's books. I was
Mhm.
obsessed with fantasy and particularly the Brothers Grimm.
Oh,
So
love
I used to create my own Brothers Grimm-esque stories.
that.
And
Mhm.
so I had so many that I did of those. I was really obsessed with that. There was like I used to watch fairy tale theater. I don't know
Mhm.
if you remember that with
I don't remember, but I've heard of it.
Christopher
Somebody,
Reeves was in it and stuff.
I'm sorry, you cut out. Who would you say?
Sorry, Christopher Reeves was in it,
Okay, yeah.
and Robin Williams and stuff, and it was like kind of a play. And then there was an anime of Grimm's fairy tales too, so I was really into that, and so I did a bunch of those stories. And my sixth grade teacher made photocopies of all of them,
Hmm.
and he was like, "I'm gonna keep these because one day you're gonna be famous." And I was like, "Oh man, I wish I still had those because honestly, through college and stuff, all my stuff got thrown out."
Yeah, that
Uh,
happens.
yeah, but
Um,
it's just so nice to have that encouragement, from teachers, and I think that's really important to have
yeah,
that
no,
to help kids.
that's very important for kids. I mean, as I mentioned to you, and my audience knows, I work with kids a lot. I travel and I teach cartooning. I do a lot of things like that, and I just enjoy inspiring the kids. I enjoy watching them get excited and coming up with
Mhm.
ideas, and so it's great that you're part of that community doing that. I think that's fantastic.
And I've had this one kid at one of the a couple of years ago at Comic Con. I was at Northeast Comic Con, and he created a comic called Super Cheese, and it
Hmm.
was a superhero who gets his power from cheese. And I bought his comic, and I just encouraged him. It was so awesome to see that. Um, that's why I love going to conventions and getting the kids excited about it and walking
Yeah.
to them in the workshops.
Um, okay, so what was your first published comic that you did, or children's book? What came first for you?
Yeah. So I I did some cartoons for various small publications, but I'd have to say the first book, which was officially it was a little late for me, but it was the Pumpkin Wizard series. So
Hmm.
so I've been working
Oh,
on
hold on. Let me give you this. Oh, okay, we can see it. That's nice.
yeah. So this one is actually the latest one that came out.
Pump,
So
Pumpkin Wizard meets Mr. S.
yeah, this one's about Christmas and stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, it's an anti-bullying series, and it
Okay.
actually takes place like in local Dover, New Hampshire. I'm from New
Hmm.
Hampshire, and Derek Dextrays and Caitlin Crowley and Don Dextrays are the writers. And
Okay.
I've been working on it for them for a couple of years. But before that, my first comics I did was Eplus, and so I did that 2013.
Hmm.
I started. So
Uh, you know what? I'm
yeah,
going to give you the screen on that so we can see it
yeah,
bigger.
very. You got.
Sorry. So you can hold it up better now. We can
Oh,
see.
okay. Yeah. So again,
Oh.
this is kind of like you can see my '90s influence of like bright colors and
Hmm.
fun,
Very
wacky.
nice.
So it's like a comedy sci-fi.
Hmm.
And I actually work on this with my husband. He does Jeremy Drouin. He does the writing
Okay.
and the artwork.
Did
And
you
so
guys? I'm sorry. Did you guys create it together, or was it his creation and you are the artist on it? How'd that work out?
yeah, so we both love sci-fi, and
Hmm.
I wanted to come up with sci-fi comic series, and so we brainstormed it together, and I came up with characters, and so it was really a collaboration, and I co-wrote it with him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how many issues do you have?
So we have 4.
4 issues.
Yeah.
Are
So
you? Do you have more planned, or?
yeah, we keep getting stuck on book 5, and we keep going back and forth to finalize the writing for that. So I'm hoping to finish that one.
Okay.
And I've done other projects. I've done lots of coloring activity books for various clients in between, and I also did Hyper Dork,
Yeah.
which is another comedy. This one's a romantic comedy, and it's kind of like Scott Pilgrim meets Seinfeld.
Okay.
So it's
I'm going to give you the screen again.
yeah.
There you go.
So, and I did this for Jimmy Francis, and he's a comedian out in California.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of loosely based around his life. He as being a comedian in a comedy club. And, yeah.
Very nice. So, can you give us with all 3 books? Can you give us a little pitch about what each one's about and where people can buy your work?
Yeah. So Eplis is a sci-fi, all ages sci-fi action adventure, and Dr. Archimedes, kind of like Doctor Who, creates this device called the Eplis, which uses celestial segments from the galaxy, and he's trying to. The Krios are these aliens that are going throughout the galaxy and destroying worlds, and so he's trying to use this device to protect the planet, his homeworld, and then there's a freak accident and he gets sent through space and time. And so his adopted daughter, Fleur, she tries to find him, and with the help of a robot, Beep Boop, and a fun little squishy alien Rex, they go on all sorts of adventures through space and time trying to find him, and ultimately saving the galaxy.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. So, and then Hyper Dork is a romantic comedy, and it's more for like preteens and up, just because of that. And so it's about this guy who's down on his luck finding love, gets laughed at and picked on for all the wrong reasons, and finally decides to embrace his dorkiness and become the superhero Hyper Dork, and just goes full on super dork.
Okay.
He gets his superpower from caffeine.
Okay. I think that's how most people today get their superpowers.
Yeah, and kind of gives him his courage to speak up to women and stuff. So he ends up saving the day, evacuating a nightclub with his awful epic dancing.
Yeah.
A nightclub that was about to collapse. So, yeah. And then the Pumpkin Wizard is a anti-bullying children's book series, and there are 4 books in the series, and it's about a boy who has who's being picked on by bullies and discovers he has a gift to speak to pumpkins, and the pumpkins come alive and they help defeat against the bullies.
Yeah.
So and they go on all sorts of fun adventures, and they save the pumpkin planet, and they meet Santa Claus and have Christmas on the pumpkin planet for the first time. It's a lot of fun. And you can get that one at thepumpkinwizard.com.
Okay.
And you can get my others. I have links on my website, emilyatplay.com.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I'm just going to go to the comments. Marty Grabstein says she's really charming, and I'm not going to disagree. So.
Well, especially not talking to anyone for so long, it's nice to talk to people.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just putting my phone in do not disturb mode. I keep forgetting to do that sometimes. But I agree with you. When you're doing shows and you're out almost every weekend or something, there's so many. You meet new people, you chat with people, and then our doors closed. And who do you chat with now?
Yeah, it's been really hard with the pandemic. Especially, I started my Comic-Con for kids. Back because I was tabling at conventions and seeing like often I'd have my kid-friendly comics and I'd be tabled next to this bloody gory comic with like decapitated heads and stuff.
Yeah.
So I spoke with the convention people, and I was like, hey, I'd love to how about just like a whole row of family-friendly comics, and
Mhm.
that wasn't really going on board or didn't happen. And I offered, I'd love to teach workshops. How about we have like a kid-friendly space? And I'd love to teach cartooning and how to create comics and fun arts and crafts. And then we could have also cosplay. I love to cosplay too, and I create cosplay, and I even cosplayed as characters from my comics too.
That's great.
I actually saw kids end up dressing up like characters from my comics too, which was so awesome to see that fan base.
Yeah.
Um,
That's fantastic. That's like the dream, I think, of every artist these days. Get someone to cosplay their characters.
yeah. So I started writing those kids zones. It became so popular, and I was going all throughout New England, and then even to Baltimore to the Kids Love Comics pavilions with the Kids Love Comics group,
Mhm.
and I was teaching workshops there. And so I decided to take the next step and put on a whole convention just to devoted just to kids, so
Mhm.
parents know there's a family-friendly space, that everything is appropriate for kids.
Mhm.
And also, I just wanted to promote creators and have this awesome indie scene. Like, it's really about promoting the indie scene. And so that's what KidsCon New England is about. So these workshops we run, and everything's just to help inspire the next generation of creators and promote the indie creators too and help them out.
That's fantastic. That's actually one of the reasons I started Get in Tune. Well, Get in Tune's my educational brand that I travel with, but I started the videos because I wanted just to promote indies, like
Mhm.
all indie guys. I'd say 99% of my guests have been all indie creators, and they're just fun to talk to. They put out great work, and I love that there are other people out there working hard on trying to promote, get people's work known as well. Like you, I'm an artist. I create my own stuff. I do work for other people, but when I do this show, the show isn't about me. It's about making sure people are getting known and seeing other things that are out there, and to see really nice family friendly comics or something that I enjoy. Growing up for me, comics, you know, I read Marvel, DC, and all this, and the stuff, but there was always books that I read that were always kind of family oriented. I'm a big, DuckTales from the cartoon, but Uncle Scrooge comic fan. I grew up reading the newspaper strips, which were all basically family friendly stuff. So I love promoting that type of stuff. I love seeing that. Um, and I think it's great that there are people out there like you doing that. Can you talk about your KidsCon and some of the guests that you have um, I've seen your stuff on social media, and I know you've had some really incredible guests out there that are great for kids to meet.
Yeah. So we had our first official event in 2016, and we started off as small because, you're testing things out, right? And you can
Exactly.
have
Yes.
full like Boston Comic Con,
Yeah.
and a tight budget and small budget. But so we started off small, and it was overwhelming by the amount of people that loved it and came, and so we immediately grew to a much larger venue. We've been running it in Nashua since, and then we expanded it because we had people from other states like coming from all over to see it. So we expanded it to Maine too. So we also have an event in Portland, Maine. But we've been getting creators such as Paddington Bear artist
Yeah.
RW Alley. He's been there, and he's amazing at our last event. And we also did, because of COVID, a virtual event
Hmm.
last May. And
Yes.
so we were able to get creators from across the country that wouldn't otherwise have necessarily been able to make it to our show.
Hmm.
And so we have that free available for anyone who wants to watch, and we have workshops there on our website. It's actually kidsconne.com or kidscon online. You can
Okay.
check it out. But we had uh, and Nancy, she's the co-CEO, founder of Archie Comics.
Yeah. See, I'm always bad with her name. I've interviewed her before. I've met her a bunch of times. Is it Siebelkite?
Yeah, Cleat or Cole,
I'm sorry if I get it wrong, Nancy. If you're watching, I know she's watched my show a few times, and I apologize if I got it wrong. I'm terrible with names. Everyone knows that about me.
Yeah, she's amazing. And then we also had one of the co-writers of the Lumberjanes, and
Mm-hmm.
we've had oh man, why am I can't think of her name at the moment. Forgive me. But we've also had people from the National Cartoonist Society, like comic strip artist Tim Jones with Sour Grapes.
And Tim is actually a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, I don't want to.
Oh,
He might actually be watching. I don't want to call him like a good friend where we've hung out. We've actually never met face to face, but I've interviewed him on here a few times. We talk outside. We've had phone like he's someone I just want to kind of sit down and go out to have lunch with when all this, settles down. He's a really good guy. I like him a lot.
yeah, and also Mark Parisi. He's Off the Mark.
Yeah.
With another comic strip, and
great strip.
He's an amazing creator too, and yeah, and just so many. And you can actually see the ones that we have coming up. We are planning on having a show. Hopefully we're still monitoring everything, but November 13th in Portland.
Okay.
So at the DoubleTree in Portland, Maine, across from the main mall. So hopefully, think we'll be able to have it. Again, it'll be smaller. We won't be able to have as many people, and we'll take all the precautions. But we hope we can have a fun time again, right?
Yeah,
time.
Yeah, I miss shows in the way that I miss seeing my friends, and the after. The shows itself are always work and tiring, but after, when you're going out to dinner, when you're hanging out, and that's the type of stuff I miss for shows. And I'm just looking in the comments. First of all, Marty, thank you for that comment. And the other one, I don't know if that's spelt correctly. I don't want to mess up saying that, but if that's Nancy's actual how to spell her last name, you guys in the comments on Facebook can check that out. But yeah. So anyway, you've done a lot with KidsCon. You've had great stuff. Now you said the virtual stuff is on the website kidsconne.com.
Yeah.
What kind of workshops do you do when you're with the kids?
Yeah, so me personally, or the one in
the it doesn't matter if it's online. What you do? Yeah. Do you have others come in and do workshops too?
Yeah. So we have a bunch of other people come in. Even cosplayers will come in and do like arts and crafts workshops. So so kids will get to see like Ariel and Cinderella and get to participate, or Superman, Spider-Man. So that's a lot of fun. I teach how to create comics, do various cartooning. I love drawing Disney characters. I teach them how to draw Disney characters. Everything starting from using basic shapes you can create anything from. So anyone who feels intimidated, the whole point of these workshops is that anybody can draw it. And we want to let people know that just you take it, step by step, build things up slowly, and practice. You'll keep getting better. So we do that, and then also writing workshops I've done too for how to write comics, and also doing fun arts and crafts like how to create lightsabers.
Oh, that's cool.
And Millennium Falcon using paper plates.
That's awesome. That sounds like a lot of fun for the kids.
Yeah.
I like that.
Mask making too. Kids love to do that. So if you didn't bring your mask with you, now you can complete your cosplay and create one.
That's great. Let's actually, I do want to get back into your comics, but before we get into that, I want to ask you, since you are a cosplayer, when did you get into cosplay? What kind of stuff do you cosplay that aren't your characters?
Yeah, I started going when I went to Granite State Comic-Con, so I think like around 2010 or so, or 9. When so I started going there. That's in New Hampshire. It's a great Comic-Con. The guys at Double Midnight Comics put it on. And I also have been doing their kids zone areas too. So there are kids con areas. And so I dressed up the first one as the girl from Resident Evil,
Okay.
which was kind of fun with like the red dress. And I had like a fake, plastic gun that had those Nerf. It was like a Nerf gun, and I hung out with the Ghostbusters, and so then I started gaining all these connections with people at Comic Cons too, which I think really helped. My confidence was like, oh, I can create. I mean, I can, let's table at convention, and then I got to meet all these people, and it makes you. I love that community of Comic Cons. Everyone feels welcome.
Yeah.
But other ones I would do ones of kind of like hodgepodge of like the Cheshire Cat I did once. And I was thinking I did like a furry too before.
Did you make the costume for that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just kind of do a whole bunch of things. I also dressed up as Catra. And that was a lot of fun too. Yeah, and did that. So just a couple of things.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And so all the costumes you make yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. I may buy like some things. Oh, actually, I forgot to say, I also recently at my Kids Con in Portland, Maine, I dressed up as Astrid from How to Train Your Dragon. I had this thing, most of my cosplays involved fur for some reason. I always seem to have fur, and I also did the Dark Crystal. I cosplayed, and I built the Fiskig, or wait, yeah.
I'm
right?
bad with the names, but I think I know who you're talking about.
Oh, he's downstairs as a puppet, and so I have him, and I was dressed up as a gelfling, so that was fun too.
Oh, that's fantastic. And so was your, just out of curiosity, because I have built puppets before. Was that your first puppet you built, or?
When I was probably not since I was a little kid. Like I built the Kermit the Frog a long time ago. But yeah, other than that, it was just paper bag puppets.
Okay. Yeah.
Essentially kind of same thing, right?
Yeah. It's basically, yeah, it's a hand puppet. The guy who taught me, I spent more time doing like marionette and rod puppet type of stuff and that. But I did study the video, Muppet style puppets, if you want to call them that, the video puppets. And I've never built one of those though, so I'm interested in giving it a try. So I was going to ask, was it a difficult process for that?
Yeah, it took a lot of time. You mess up and you learn from it. But I think the biggest pain in the ass was all the teeth he had, because I bought all these little things of cork, and I was like hand carving and then painting them with nail polish and coloring. There's all those little details. But and I did destroy one of those little unicorn like furry things.
I'm not sure.
I had to take his eyes out because I did that for my Fiskig. So I recorded me cutting out the eyes, and people were like, "You're a monster." And I was like, "It's all for a good cause. I need to give this guy eyes, But,
hey, you got to get them from where you get the supplies from, right?
Yeah,
wherever you can find.
You just look around the house and see what you got. And,
yeah, that's fantastic. So let's get back to your comics for a little bit. I want to talk about and correct me if I say it wrong. Eplis?
Yep.
Oh, got it. Cool. All
this is for Illustrial Pulse Link Integration Synchrotron.
I'm going to stick with Eplis because I'm not going to remember that. But I like that it is an acronym for something. When you and your husband created that comic, how long ago was the first issue? I don't remember if you said that.
2013.
So 2013 was the first issue, and you're working on issue 5 now.
I got a bit sidetracked with other projects.
Look, it happens. Believe me, you're talking to someone. I haven't published a book. God, I can't remember. It's early 2000s the last time I published a book, and I I've always had stuff started, and then other projects come in, jobs, medical, whatever the heck it is, just puts it to the side. So I'm finally back on track and putting stuff together. But yeah, it's. I want to ask you, when you created that story, did you have a final ending in mind, or was it just let's start and just kind of keep playing off the issue and see what we want to do?
No, we did plan everything out. So we have a structure, the timeline, and it's just a couple of things like in this ending part, I think is the hardest, like what happens before that, end and finish. It can be hard. But yeah, like anything when you're doing a story, you have parts, like 3 parts. And so it's like an opera, uh, and you want to gradually increase the amount of action and things. So it's we are working on, hopefully the 5th book will come out sometime, maybe by this year. It generally each one's 36 pages, and it took like the first couple. Usually it takes me about 6 months to work on any about that size, because I'm doing everything in it, and it's all the revisions and looking at everything. But we used indie publishers, just like a local printer. At the time, we were using the Hippo, and they were based in Manchester, New Hampshire.
I'm not sure if I'm familiar with them, but
yeah. So I keep trying to pitch it to publishers, and I keep trying to pitch myself to agents, and just like constantly. And then it's like, okay, another rejection. It seems like every day I get like a couple of rejections.
That's the biz, though. You gotta, as long as you can kind of just shrug it off.
Yeah, and I keep like, switching it up and changing how I pitch things, and then it's like, oh, I've heard from other people saying you don't necessarily need an agent. Sometimes it's better to do things on your own. I have been able to find some work on my own, but mainly it's the most of it. How I've been finding work is through social media and joining like Facebook groups and people doing a call and looking for an illustrator, for this project, and just pitching yourself. But then the only problem is there are hundreds of other people doing the same thing.
No, I know. Hey, look, I've done it myself.
Yeah, it's trying to stand out is the hardest thing to anything.
I will say this: I have friends who have agents. I've talked with them about it. Sometimes the only benefit to an agent is, as an artist, is there may be companies that go through agents looking for artists rather than just doing doing open submissions. They just want something that's a little more what's the word, and I'm not saying you're not this. I'm just saying they want someone who has a bit more of like I guess a track record or a little polish that an agent wants. But I'm like, look, you're a member of the National Cartoon Society, which number one is which is just an amazing feat in itself, because how many people actually get to be a member of the NCS?
Yeah, I feel very honored, and it's one of those things, like every little step, I just know that you got to keep going, and just know that, and keep improving at your skills and your art. I've been diversifying the kind of content I do, from doing like realistic illustrations to more cartoony. I have like a hodgepodge in offering other services too. And so when like video editing, animation, I trying to do everything as much as you can, and especially in this COVID age, just to
you need to be flexible.
And also it's a great time to build your skills and just try out new things, and
that's important. I mean, during the COVID session, when that started, I started on a children's book I've been wanting to do for a while. And then I was on track to finish it by the end of April, and I actually ended up with COVID, and I lost like a good 2 months, and then a lot of recovery and other things going on, that I finally got it done in November, and now I'm on to another comic. And it's just one of those things. This is the time to be putting stuff out. Yes, is the world going to get back to normal? Who knows when, but it's going to slowly get back to it. So everyone still has time to be working on things, to be creating, to be, this is a great time with what we got with between social media, YouTube, Instagram, whatever it is. You could be creating your own comics, your own animations, and posting them up there, and hopefully get noticed and get somewhere. But you could build everything. That's one of the things that I've thought about. I've actually had an agent interested at one point, and it fell through. But I think in today's age, we don't need them. I'm not going to turn one down, I don't think, if they came to me. But I think in these times here, you can promote yourself on social media, build that following, put out the work. The more content you put out, the bigger, if you promote it correctly through social media, the bigger following you're going to get, and that'll lead to more work eventually. That's just my own personal opinion. But I think for artists, the pandemic was kind of a creative benefit for us. So.
And I used to be traveling all the time, like whether going to schools, going to conventions, and trying to have the time to do your art and do these projects was cut a lot too, because I was managing my own business and with the conventions. So now that those are not happening at the moment, it gave me more time to just focus on improving my skills and focus on pumping out the work. So,
That's great.
And gaining new skills too. Running the virtual event was a whole new thing too.
Yeah.
And so I think that it went really well. And so and also it helped me improve my video editing. And so I had all that going on, and I was animating the host of it and did the voiceover with my husband. It was a lot of fun.
That's great.
Doing all these new experiences that we wouldn't have otherwise. So it's kind of a blessing too.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just want to go to the comments real quick. Is it Rolando? I don't know how to say it. I can't say it properly, but hello. He says hello, and Marty looked up the name, and it's Nancy Sieber-Clyte.
Or is it Cleet or Clyte?
I'm gonna say Clyte because there is Leit or Cleat. I don't know, Cleat maybe. I don't know. I apologize to Nancy. She's a really nice
in our video. It's been a while since. But if you go to our kidsconne.com, go to our KidsCon online event, you can see she actually talks and says her name.
Yeah, no. I when I interviewed, I asked her name a couple of times, and I apologized. So for it.
Thank you, Nancy, so much for participating. If you're watching.
Yeah. Anyway, let's going back to the Eplis comic. So you started that in 2013. I just want to know, is the 5th book the final chapter, or do you have another one?
2 more, so 5 and 6.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, no, that's great. And I know you told us a little bit about the story, and I'm sorry, I forgot the main character's name. What was it?
Yeah, Dr. Archimedes.
Dr. Archimedes. Can you tell us a little bit about the characters? I mean, the reason I'm asking a lot about it is, number one, I've seen a lot of posts about it. I'm intrigued by the book, and I haven't had a chance to read it because I've never met you at a show. I've never been able to pick it up, but I'm kind of interested. So can you tell us a little bit about the characters and who they are? Yeah, I mean, you told me Dr. Archimedes is very Doctor Who-ish, which is great. I'm a Doctor Who fan.
And it's kind of funny. This was before Rick and Morty.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks like kind of like Rick with the crazy hair. Except it's not blue, it's silver. But it's like the stereotypical, he has the long white coat. And I'm like, oh my God, he's just like him. So it wasn't, like I said, he was before it. I don't know. Let's see.
I can give you the full. I was just looking to see if any of the photos you sent me had it. I would share the screen.
His hair is a little bit more team in this one, but Well, but anyways, I'll show you some of the characters. So this guy robot is Beep Boop.
Okay.
And this yellow alien, this sidekick is Rex.
Rex. Okay.
And they're part of the Luna ship. This is the crew. So this is Dr. Archimedes. And then this is Fleur. She's the pilot. And then this alien guy, this is the Krios, the bad guys. So they're after the Epolis. It kind of looks like a Pokemon ball.
Okay, I see it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then this little guy is Awesome. Oh, backwards here. His name is Awesome, which stands for Automated Universal Systems Overhaul Mechanical Engineer.
Wow. You have a lot of acronyms in your book, or?
Just a couple, but it kind of has. I was also influenced by Futurama, so you can.
Okay. Yeah. I'm giving you the full screen.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I have 3 monitors. I'm constantly.
There we go. Okay. So it's kind of like you got the kind of Futurama vibe going on.
Yeah.
But
totally. I see a little little manga influence in there too.
Yeah. Got a little that should be kind of manga.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you a big manga fan or anime fan or?
Yeah, I love anime. There's Knights of Sidonia, Little Witch Academia. I was recently watching Cells at Work. That's a really good one too.
I know none of them, but it's okay. I'm more number one into reading manga than I am to watching anime.
Yeah.
But, I don't tend to read it as a lot. And the anime for me, if it wasn't kind of what I grew up on, I'm more movie now. I don't really follow shows, so I have no clue about any anime going on today.
Yeah, I like I said, I was kind of influenced by also too Scott Pilgrim. I used to read a lot of those.
Those are good books.
Yeah, so that's manga kind of style.
Yeah, kind of has a bit. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so you showed us some of the characters in the book there, and that whole like main cover, was that like the whole team that's on the main ship, or?
Yeah, that's the crew, and then I have for each one. I also have a warrior princess, Kai, which I dressed up as a Furby. So this girl at the bottom. Yeah. And then so at each book I have this thing like a little description of them. Okay. And oh yeah, Dexter is he's also a member of the crew that they meet, and there's this giant robot called the Dextimator, and he builds this robot.
I like it. It's got this nice cutesy like feel to it. It kind of it feels fun. Is there I'm sorry, I just lost my question I had about about the book. So this is all obviously this is all, like we said, family friendly, kid friendly. Are there any I'm sorry, I'm going to skip the question because I blanked on it. Let me go to my next question. If I remember, I'll come back to it. So my next question was, I wanted to talk about your working style. Are you digital, traditional? How do you work?
Yeah, so I do both, but mainly digital. So like I do commission work. I can do both. Most people, they want traditional. I do caricatures too. That I had a whole bunch I did last year. So I tend to prefer using Photoshop and Illustrator for my stuff, mainly Photoshop. I do some Clip Studio, but I still lean towards Photoshop. And just use like the whole Adobe Creative Suite too for like animating and doing that.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of Adobe Animate. Love that program. Love After Effects. Love Photoshop. I tend lately to be drawing more in Clip Studio, and I just use Photoshop for little extra, effects and I usually create my templates in Photoshop because I have a problem in Clip Studio Paint creating the borders. So I created Photoshop, imported it, and I tend to draw. I think I like their inking pens better. You
Yeah,
know.
I just recently bought it for, that it was on sale like around Christmas for $25. So I'm new to it, so I'm
Yeah.
still learning it. But
I think I think you'll love it once you get the hang of it. Clip Studio, and I think I said this on last night's stream. It's so intuitive for illustrators, and there's a lot that is in there that not that Photoshop doesn't have, but just easier to maneuver to, and deal with that way. But yeah, I think you'll really enjoy it. I see a lot of people going Clip Studio these days. Um, and you said it takes about 6 months for you to do a 36-page comic. Is that straight, or do you have other jobs in between that you're kind of working around?
yeah, actually, that's in between other jobs too.
Okay.
So I tend to multitask
Okay.
at various multi-projects at the same time. Or it wasn't until I was working full-time as a certified ophthalmic assistant. So I was doing eye exams, and that was
Wow.
up until 2019. And ironically, right before COVID, I left to pursue my convention business and my art full-time. So it was scary taking that leap too,
Yeah.
which I did in April 2019. So,
Yeah. So
and
it's been
yes,
almost 2 years, you know, on your own, and you're obviously doing well with it. So, yeah.
yeah, hanging in there too, knock on wood. I'm just hoping that we can do, shows again, and I miss the people and drawing them. It's fun at conventions too.
Well, shows will come back. It's just a matter of exactly when. I know for myself, and I've talked with a bunch of people. Yeah, I miss the stuff I told you, hanging out with my friends, all that stuff. But I'm someone with medical issues, so for me, I'm not sure I'll be ready to go back to a show anytime soon.
Mm.
So it's something that I'll have to see how it comes. Take it. When is it? Where is it? How are they taking precautions? Because I know there's been shows that have run already.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm surprised there are some still like they're going on in April. I don't know. I looked up, and some states are saying you can't have any more than 50 people.
yeah.
So I don't know how they're getting away with it.
Well, I talked with a friend who did a show a few weeks back. Then they said they limited the people who can go in at times. So it's like, yeah, if you, let's say you're waiting online and you're the first 20 people, you go in, they give them a certain amount of time. The next 20 go in, they get a certain amount of time. So, or that's clocked. Oh, well, we just, one went out, one could go in, it's something like that. But they limited how many, I don't remember the number, but they
Yeah.
limited the amount. So, I mean, that could be something, you
Mhm.
know?
What
Sorry.
I was planning on doing for our show for KidsCon is most likely, of course, we'll see how it is, but having online ticket sales only. So then
Mhm.
we can cap it. And then also maybe even doing like AM sessions, PM sessions. That's another,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. I mean, there's a lot of different ways. I
A lot
mean,
of different ways. Yeah.
I know shows will be back, and I know a lot of people are missing them. But I think doing things like I'm doing here and other people doing all these streams now, where people are so in touch with artists and writers and other creators. I think if they hang out on you know on the internet for a little bit,
Yeah.
you know they'll be able to find everything. So, but yeah, there's nothing like meeting someone in person. This art's a solitary job. We're alone in our studios. We're working. We're doing it ourselves. It's nice when you get out to talk and actually meet fans and people who are interested in what you do, and you get to hear the feedback live. It's a very, very, very good feeling for that. You
Yeah,
know.
definitely. Do you work at home alone, or do you have your spouse or any?
Well, my wife, she's been working from home since March, and she takes the living room, and I come into my studio. I mean, I do have a daytime gig right now, but it's I'm home early from it, and I freelance when I come home. My weekends are devoted to my freelance, so it's it's not like it's the worst thing, and not, and I don't hate what I do, but it's not what I want to do. So I ran a freelance company on and off for years, and I've had things that hurt me. I started in 1994 as my own freelancing company, and while I was in college doing this, and the first thing that hit me was 9/11. That hurt my business a lot. Then I built it back up. Then something else hit it. And I got sick, and I kind of was out of it for a good year, almost 2 full years. That hurt it. Then I'm starting to rebuild it. Pandemic happens. I'm just starting to get work again, freelance. So I'm happy that I have my day gigs, that money can come in, but it takes time from me finishing up freelance projects so that I can get more, or to work on my personal projects that I know will bring me in cash once I get them done and start promoting and doing things. So like the children's book I finished, I still have to put that up on the online stores, but it's completed. I just need to buy an ISBN number and barcode for it. So once I do that, I'm not saying I'm going to become a millionaire off this book or even a hundredaire. We'll see what happens. But it's another, you do this too. You make something, you put it out there, you try to sell it. Hopefully it brings you a little bit of an income that can help out.
Who do you use to print?
Right now I'm going through online printers. I'm not getting any actual hard copy books for myself. So I'm going to go through Amazon as one of them. And that's why I'm buying my own barcode and ISBN numbers, because I don't want Amazon to be my only distributor. And what happens and this is, I've never published to this level before where I'm really taking that much control. I've always done work and handed it off to people, or it's a little comic I've done and I printed a few hundred copies or whatever, and I'm going out and selling at shows. I'm actually trying to hit stores at some point. And a friend of mine I was chatting with told me that a lot of stores don't like ordering from Amazon because they take so much business. So they said, it's okay. It's good to have it up there, but don't let them be your main guy. And to not make it your main guy, you have to have your own ISBN and barcode so you can send it somewhere else. And you can put it up on 10 different, print on demand sites, and people can order from any one, really. And then there's some that actual, stores will order from. And if you want, we can chat about this off the air. I don't want to give names and things right now. I'm not, because there's first of all, I don't have the list in front of me, everything written down.
Yeah, there's a lot. And some people use like Print Ninja or Litho Ninja.
And they got great stuff.
Yeah.
I have friends who print from them. Their work is beautiful. The children's book that I'm doing that I've done is, what's it called? That's going to be printed differently than if I was to do a comic. So if I was to do a comic, I might look into something like, I'd even be okay with going on something like Indie Planet. They use Kablam, I believe, as their printers, or at least they used to, or they're connected. But it's a print-on-demand site. I could put up a digital copy for people to download, or I could have them buy it and print through there. So they just go on indieplanet.com, create an account, and they can. And when they buy it there, it may take up to, I think, 3 weeks to a month until it arrives to them. But whatever you price, they obviously take a bit out, and then you get the rest. So
yeah, I've been looking for some new printers. So
yeah, I'm always looking into that. I got a bunch in my closet, like in a binder.
Oh, cool. Yeah, shoot me an email with the list sometime.
Oh yeah, when I ever get to that, there's a lot of stuff blocking it on the floor right now. So I'm always trying to organize, and I move stuff out of the way behind my closet because I don't need to go in there often. So yeah, when next time I move all my stuff and pull it out, I'll definitely send you a list of what I got.
I appreciate it.
Oh, anytime. That's the thing also with art and artists. I don't believe that I should just keep everything a secret. I believe in sharing and letting people know about what's out there. And
yeah, absolutely. We gotta help each other.
Exactly.
Help each other up.
So let me ask you. I'm gonna wrap up in a few. Is there anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted to talk about?
Um, I I said, if anyone wants to check out my work, you can visit my website, emilyatplay.com. I'm also on Facebook, and it's also, if you do like Facebook at Emily at Play, you can find me there. And also check out the Pumpkin Wizard series, which is awesome. It's thepumpkinwizard.com.
Okay.
And then also check out our KidsCon New England events at kidsconne.com. And you can check out our virtual event, which is free, and you can watch all and participate in all the workshops. There's tons of stuff, fun stuff there for everyone. Kidscononline.com or kidsconne.com.
That's fantastic. That's a lot of places where they can find you.
Yeah, if you're bored, go check those out. Or if you want to commission me to do some art, I'd love to do it. I do caricatures, I do realistic illustrations, cartooning, comics, children's
Yeah,
books, activity books, and more.
that's great. That's fantastic. I'm going to throw you backstage in a moment, but I want to say, number one, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh, anytime. You're welcome back anytime. If you're ever doing a Kickstarter or anything, just let me know. I'd love to have you back on and promote that. Or when your new book comes out, let me know. I'll be happy to have you on so you can promote that too.
Nice.
But I also want to thank you, and I always thank creators that come on for being a creator, for creating work, and not just and this is going to be a little different from the way I normally think. Thank you for creating family friendly stuff. That's how I like my comics. I like to see a book that parents can enjoy with their kids and brothers and sisters can enjoy. We don't always see that a lot. So thank you for being that kind of creator.
Yeah, I'm a kid at heart, so do what you love and who you are.
And also, again, because kids are very important in the work that I do, obviously the work that you do. Thank you for creating a convention up north that is devoted to kids, and I'm hoping one day I can attend the show and be part of it.
Have you joined?
I'm hoping one day when everything comes back and I feel comfortable doing shows and you're having one, I'd like to be able to do it.
Awesome. Yeah, I just love those creating an environment that it's an escape from all the bad stuff that's going on in the world, Come just
And that and and that's why I like the family friendly stuff. It's
yeah.
because you escape from all that. You create. I'm just going to share this real quick, and then I'm gonna let you get going because I don't want to keep you on all night here. But for those who may have never heard this story, I've only told it maybe once on the show. I grew up with medical issues. I'm a 2-time kidney transplant recipient, and when I discovered my medical condition, I was 8 years old. I spent a week alone in the hospital, and drawing was my escape. I got my first Mad magazine then, and everything. I loved it. And when I create my comics, the reason I don't do like adult themed things is because I draw. I don't know if I want to say I'm drawing for the scared me as a child, but I'm drawing for that kid in the hospital who has no escape, or a kid who has some kind of who needs to forget their problems. And these days there's so many things out there that's what I think about when I draw. Will a little kid who's alone in a hospital, scared, or who needs an escape, that's why I create. That's who I create for. um, and and uh, and I like seeing that there are people out there doing, whatever your reason for doing it is, but that I like seeing that there's more out there, and I'm thrilled that you exist and that you and this work that you're doing exists.
Yeah, I just think it just I don't have any kids of my own, but it's great to be with kids. You're like essentially reliving yourself and your childhood when you see
Yeah.
them and see their passion and love for doing that. Just it creating like that safe space and escaping from everything else going on in the world. Like if they have problems or going on with school or bullying, they can go to the art. And I felt like art too was an escape for me to get away from that too. Especially like I had my high school was in the inner city, and it was rather rough and kind of scary. And so it was, I was a bit of a quiet kid. but art was always something to go to
Yeah.
and comfort in.
Yeah, that's how I say it doesn't matter what's going on in my life as long as I could draw, I'm going to be okay. You know? So, all right. Well, I'm sorry. Were you going to say something? All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you again for coming on. If you could just hang out backstage just for a few minutes. All right. All right.
Great seeing you.
You too. All right, guys. Don't forget to check out Emily at Play and kidsconne.com. You know, I've been on the sites before. Very fun sites, very cool things to check out. Emily, I really enjoyed chatting with her. She, you know, good, really, really nice, good person. I like that, and I'm happy that, like I said, she's doing the work that she's doing. We need more people out there like her. In the meantime, next week, my guest will be John Celestri, who has some stuff. This might be a little bit more adult talk in that one, so that episode may not be for kids. Some of the themes may be a little more mature based on the book that we're going to be talking about. And this Sunday, not Sunday, this Saturday on my Storytelling Saturday show, I have a surprise. I have a friend of mine's coming on, and we're going to do something really, really fun. Plus, I'll have my comic reviews and a webcomic spotlight. In the meantime, you guys could find me on Facebook at getintoon.net, on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter at Michael Gracia, and on Twitch at ToonMaker76. To everyone who stayed and watched the whole show, or watched bits, or coming back and watching it, and you've just watched it for the first or fifth time, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys on Saturday.